If you think back to when Mike Davis was on this show previously talking about what could happen in Colorado, and Mike Davis is very familiar with what type of law exists in Colorado because he's licensed to practice there. He had this to say
The
on this
Democrats have
show.
dusted off this provision from 155 years ago, and they think they're just going to take President Trump off the ballot, starting in Colorado, get a bad precedent in a blue state, and then use that precedent in swing states like maybe Michigan. And I'll tell you what, this is clearly illegal. It's clearly unconstitutional. But unfortunately, it looks like these Democrats are going to win here in Colorado with this clearly biased Denver District Court judge and this clearly left-wing Colorado Supreme Court.
And that's exactly what happened. That's what Mike Davis said on the Annie Frey show when the news originally broke about what Colorado was going to do. And we welcome Mike Davis back onto the Annie Frey show now. He's the founder and president of the Article 3 Project. He is the former chief counsel for nominations at the United States Senate Committee on the Judiciary. He has a lot of expertise, and he certainly called that shot here on the Annie Frey show. Mike Davis, welcome back to the Annie Frey show here. We're grateful to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I don't know that you're excited about being so spot on right about what was going to happen in Colorado. I saw other legal experts say that they were hoping that what was right would win out in Colorado. It didn't happen. Tell us, Mike Davis, what you think happens next.
So what I think happens next is you have this Denver District Court Judge, Sarah Wallace, who was clearly biased. She donated to an anti-Trump January 6th PAC to donate to chase Republicans out of office. She donated in October of 2022 after the Democrat governor picked her in August, but before she started in January, she refused to recuse. She committed reversible error. You have 7 Democrat-appointed justices on the Colorado Supreme Court. 4 of them are radicals who, for the first time in American history, have disqualified a presidential candidate based upon a bogus legal theory. This is going to go to the Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court has discretionary review. They don't have to take this case, but I don't know how they avoid this, because you're going to start to see other states, as we discussed before, Annie, use this Colorado precedent to disqualify President Trump and other swing states. And if Democrats think that they can just win the next election by default, even though President Trump has the support of the American people, if they think they could just kick him off the ballot based upon this bogus legal theory, this is how republics fail.
Yeah, those are strong words, but you were right the last time, and I'm worried about what happens next. A lot of the feedback that I'm hearing from legal experts is that we need to have a 9-0 ruling out of the Supreme Court. Do you think that that is necessary, that there is a, I guess, bipartisan on the Supreme Court, even though that's not really supposed to be a thing, response to what Colorado will be sending their way?
This should be 9-0 because the law is so clear. There is a precedent from 155 years ago with Chief Justice Samuel Chase that in order to disqualify under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment passed after the Civil War to chase insurrectionists out of office, Congress has to pass a federal criminal statute, which Congress has done, and that's been on the books for over 155 years. You have to charge that officer under that federal criminal statute. Grand jury indicts federal charges. The federal jury has to find him unanimously guilty with evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. The federal district court judge has to convict, and that conviction has to be upheld on appeal. That is the only way you can disqualify under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. So this should be 9-0, but unfortunately, we have 3 left-wing activist justices on the Supreme Court who will probably not do the right thing.
Well, you're a former law clerk for Justice Gorsuch as well. You know the Supreme Court very well. Do you think that these liberal justices are going to act against what you are assessing as the obvious right call on this issue? Do you think it's possible it's a 6-3 or less than a 9-0?
It could. I mean, you could have a Supreme Court that doesn't even take this case because you have Republican-appointed justices who are too fearful, right? They're fearful of the politics. Look, I would say to these Supreme Court justices, if you want to save democracy, you need to prevent left-wing activists from kicking leading presidential candidates off state ballots based upon bogus legal theories, because that is the way you're going to lead to the destruction of America. If you disenfranchise millions and millions of Trump supporters based upon a bogus novel legal theory, that's going to be the end of our country.
We're speaking with the founder and president of the Article 3 Project. Mike Davis joins us right now. I've talked with you about many of the other charges that have been filed against Donald Trump. And politically, the ramifications has been that Donald Trump's support has grown. And this is yet another version of lawfare, it seems, that the Democrats are willing to take against Donald Trump. But if Donald Trump's support grows and his name isn't on the ballot, it seems as though that's the way the Democrats feel. I hope it's their last resort. I don't know what else they're able to pull out of their hat.
Well, look, they've impeached Trump twice for nonsense. They've indicted him 4 times for non-crimes. They've tried to illegally gag him twice. If there's anyone in the world who needs the First Amendment right to speak out against the prosecutor, the judge, the process, and the witnesses, it is a criminal defendant going through a political process. That all backfired. They've even tried to bankrupt Trump's family business for the non-fraud of paying back sophisticated Wall Street banks on time, as agreed, in full, with interest. That all backfired, as we predicted it would, Annie, going back to the Mar-a-Lago raid in August of 2022. People laughed at us when we said this lawfare is going to backfire and put President Trump back in the White House. It's backfiring. President Trump is beating President Biden like a drum for November 5th, 2024. So this is the Democrats' legal Hail Mary to simply disqualify Trump from the ballot. Take that choice away from millions of Americans. They're starting in Colorado, a deep blue state. They're going to use that precedent in swing states. And this is not going to fly with the American people. And the Supreme Court needs to understand that they need to protect our democracy by reversing this egregiously wrong, this abomination of a legal decision by these 4 left-wing activists on the Colorado Supreme Court.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people that are advocating for the actual constitutionality to be applied in this case and not the version that the Democrats have bent in their favor in Colorado. It seems that they want a 9-0 ruling and they need it to be done quickly. What's the timeline?
Well, it needs to happen fast because Colorado needs to print their primary ballots, which happens in early January for the primary in March. So the Supreme Court needs to not take Jack Smith's cert before judgment case. Jack Smith is trying to bypass the DC circuit so Jack Smith and DC Obama judge Tanya Chutkan can try and convict President Trump before the presidential election. The Supreme Court needs to reject that case because that doesn't need to be heard right now. And the Supreme Court needs to take this Colorado case because this is highly destructive to our country, and the Supreme Court's legitimacy is on the line right now. They have lifetime tenure. They have pay protection. Are they going to do their jobs or are they going to be cowards?
Mike Davis with us right now. I think about a lot of the criticism that has come, I should say, from other people who are running for the Republican nomination. Nikki Haley says that she said some complimentary things towards Donald Trump, but she said the truth is that chaos does follow Donald Trump. And there are people who are going to see more of this chaos here, and they're going to start to potentially lean into what Nikki Haley is saying and think that maybe this means somebody else should be the one who we put into the presidency or at least into the nomination. How important do you think it is that Donald Trump does continue to win and that Americans do continue to support him in the light of the increasing chaos?
You know, it just shows you that the Nikki Haleys of the Republican Party are treacherous. Because if they think that they're going to reward this blatantly unconstitutional, unprecedented lawfare and election interference, if they're going to reward that by bowing out, that is the typical Republican Party. This is why we lose. If we had that mindset during the Kavanaugh confirmation, we would have a Democrat-controlled Supreme Court of the United States. But thank God we had people like Mitch McConnell and Chuck Grassley, my former boss, and frankly me, as the chief staffer in the Senate on this, who had the backbone to fight against this lawfare. If we let the Democrats win here, there goes our country. This is so much bigger than Donald Trump. If the Democrats think they can get away with impeaching and indicting and bankrupting and silencing and disqualifying our Republican nominee, we're not going to have a democracy left. Nikki Haley needs to get her head out of her ass.
Mike Davis joining us right now with the Article 3 project. And, I think our YouTube, we do a poll every day. Our YouTube poll is, will Trump win the presidency in 2024? I'll ask you this question, Mike Davis. Do you still think that he's capable of winning the presidency in November?
Not only do I think it, I know he's going to win, and this lawfare is backfiring. I've had a lot of people who are not Trump supporters. Maybe they're conservatives, they're Republicans, they're right-thinking independents, even some Democrats. They are not. Look, Trump is not their first choice. They would prefer someone else. But after this lawfare, they are all in. I've gotten about 30 of those text messages today from my friends who are not Trump people, who are saying they are outraged by this Colorado Supreme Court ruling. Who the hell do these four left-wing activists on the Colorado Supreme Court think that they are? They think that they can disenfranchise over 1 million Colorado voters who supported President Trump last time. They think they can take away that option from them in the name of democracy. These justices can go to hell.
Mike Davis, before we let you go, the last question I have about the legal process that's going to take place. We've talked a little bit here about the precedent that Colorado is attempting to set here. We'll wait and see what the Supreme Court does. What are other states, specifically those swing states, sitting and waiting to happen so that they know what they're going to do next, or maybe what they're not allowed to do next?
Well, I mean, they're going to pounce. And I've been saying this all along. The Democrats were in tactical retreats when they found reasons to not move forward with disqualification in New Hampshire and Michigan and Minnesota and these other states. They were waiting for a precedent like this Colorado Supreme Court just established, and they're going to come back. They're like hyenas. They're going to keep circling back. They know that they can't beat Trump on November 5th, 2024. So they're going to do everything they can to stop him. And I'll say this, if you thought the BLM and Antifa riots were bad in 2020, just wait until they run the Hamas riots in 2024, where Republican voters who wait till election day to vote are terrified, scared to hell to go vote. That's what they're going to do this time. And this is why Republican voters need to make sure you vote as early as possible.
Mike Davis with the Article 3 project, pointed words there, and we welcome them here on the Annie Frey Show. Thank you for being with us. And I guess I'll look forward to seeing you in a few weeks or so where we play your predictions again and they come true once again. We're grateful to have you here.
Thank you.
Of course. Mike Davis is the founder and president of the Article 3 Project. He's also the former chief counsel for nominations, the United States Senate Committee on the Judiciary, and the former law clerk for Justice Gorsuch. He's seen a few things. He's been involved in a lot of things, and we're grateful for his thoughts on this moment right now where we kind of get to sit and wait while we watch our republic hang in the balance